Hello everyone, in this video we will learn how to make a bamboo tree like that. We'll discuss multiple topics, we'll create a tree, we'll texture it, we'll also make and texture a flower pot like this. The model itself will be created in Blender, texture will be applied in Substance Painter, then we'll move it into a SpeedTree modeler and later it will be imported into the game engine. The model will be optimized for the game project and we'll also create a wind system that will work perfectly in Unreal Engine. We'll learn how to export correctly from SpeedTree project and also import to our Unreal Engine game project. Let's get started. I'll try to explain every action in detail so you understand what you're doing and not just repeating my actions exactly. Let's start with that main tree. It will look like that for you. You go to Collisions and select Automatic Collisions. Then right-click on the tree object and add your first trunk. Now change quantity to 5 as you may have seen in the intro. And it should look like that. Later you can change quantity without any issues. Now we move down to the boundary section. And in my experience it is better to set the first value to 0.05. Even 0.06. Now let's move to the skin settings and set the radius around 0.27. Should be good for us. And set the variation to 19. Our trunk should be the same in length, we can transform it like that. Now it looks good. Next we are going to do is setting up segments. Let's decrease segments to 10 or even 11.5. Segments count is responsible for polygons count in our model. You can change view mode to scribe to see polygons. After that, we go straight down below to the radial section and set it to 5. It is responsible for edge count. For our game project, 5 is good, but you always can configure it regarding your game project. Now let's move to spine section. Scroll down to orientation section and set start angle to 0.48, like that, so that our branches face in different directions. A little lower down will be the shape section with the gravity parameter. It's better to set it to 0.1, like that. And now the branches are being pulled down a little bit by gravity. Now find the noise section and subsection named late. Change the turbulence to 0 and our branch should become straight. Also make sure amount is set to 0.35. I'd also like to modify our radius in skin section we've set previously, so our branches will be about the same size. Now it looks better. Now let's add our second trunk. It should have interval mode set. Let's set up boundaries for second trunk. First variable with 0.305 and last variable with 1.009 should look great. Our branches are kinda large, we need to change it. It can be done in spine settings. Find length subcategory and absolute parameter, it should be 0. Then change percent of parent to value around 0.17. In variance settings you need to set variance to 0.05, so branches become more randomized. Now we go to skin settings. Here, absolute parameter should also be 0. And percent of parent should be around 0.25. That's what we need. Let's change the angle of our branches so they look more upward. That can be done in orientation subcategory inside of spine settings. You can find start angle variable here. Change it to something like 0.313. Also change variation to 0.04 or something like that. Now set up the curve like I did. Later we will change gravity too, so our branches look more realistic. Change the shape like that. Now let's navigate to all settings. We need to change frequency of interval, so there is more branches. Now it looks good. Add a little bit of spiral. Also, we need to change speed of interval, so it looks even more randomized. As you can see, they move in different directions. It is imported for variability overall. Now it's time to bend the branches a little. It can be done in segment settings. Change the relative basis to length/radius ratio. It will make the branches more rounded. Here you also can change absolute variable to 0 and set up the curve like I did. change relative variable to 1.13. And change the optimization variable a little bit, for example 0.2. Now scroll down to the radial settings and make sure absolute is set to 0, relative should be 1. Search for the noise settings, and here you need to configure late variables. As you can see, amount changes the shape to a straighter one and vice versa. Let's set it to 0.01 and set up the curve like I did. You can add a new point by pressing Ctrl plus left click. The last thing left to do is to run the welding from search, so it fits the geometry better. Let's start modeling the third trunk. This process is not much different. It also should have interval mode set. Boundary's first variable should be 0.001. Last variable, max value, 0.999. Navigate to skin settings and configure radius. Set absolute to 0 and follow my steps. Now navigate to spine settings. Absolute should be 0. Perspective parent, 0.31. It takes into account the size of previous trunk. Scroll down to orientation settings and change the start angle. Now scroll down to shape settings and change gravity to 0.01. Find noise settings. Set late amount to 0.01. Variation to 0.35. Set up the curve like I did. Now go to all settings. We need to finalize our trunk. Change the interval frequency as you wish. I recommend setting 9.2 value. Count should be decreased a little, so it's not that dense. Try playing with split variable. Spiral value should be around 0.6. Let's also enable welding. Okay, so now our base tree is done. Next step is to create textures and materials. We'll prepare the material for leaves right away. I recommend using Quixel Megascan and textures.com for searching them. Let's start creating materials. There will be 2 in total for this tree. First will be called trunk, second will be leaf. Now let's add textures I found personally. You can use any other texture. After we've imported all the necessary textures for our trunk, let's also import textures for our leaves. But before doing that, go to settings for leaf material and check two-sided parameter. Now let's add mesh for leaves. It's important not to go overboard with the polygons. Also add a few points on the sensor to get the wind working properly. After it is done, press right arrow for each slot. Now go to settings for trunk material again. Let's apply it to our trunk itself. It can be done by holding on that hand icon and dragging over the model. Let's adjust the texture. You have full control over it. In case you need to create several trees at once, you can simply change the texture brightness separately for each tree. After we have prepared leaf material, we can create test variant of leaves and see if the texture is looking good. Apply texture to our improvised leaves. Later we'll make them look properly. Everything seems to look properly. Our leaf texture is done. I want to adjust UV settings for our main trunk so there is less details visible on the texture. Enable fractional settings here and adjust value to something like 0.3 and now looks better. Let's also add cap for our trunks and apply texture to it. The next step is to create leaf model. Let's start working on our leaf. But before doing that, I want to shorten our tree. It's too tall. Now select second trunk and create a leaf on it. Let's also apply leaf texture. Now change generation mode to interval and set count to 0. Find accent pattern settings and set type to any. Now navigate to leaf settings and adjust size. I'm gonna go with 1.77 size and 0.19 variation. Go to local orientation settings and adjust sky influence to something like 0.205. Then go to deformation settings and adjust them like I did. Set variation to 0.10 for these 4 variables. Now let's create leaf for our third trunk. This process is not much different. Set sky influence to 0.105. Now our tree is done. The next step is to create flower pot for our tree. We're gonna do it in Blender software. Let's remove camera and light right away. We don't need them for this model. This default cube is just the right size for our pot, so we don't need to create a new one. You can see all the keystrokes in the bottom left corner. Press Ctrl+3 to create subdivision. Add a little bit of bevel. And here also add crease. After that, we will make this indentation and also add a little bit of bevel. Right now we have a lot of polygons for that simple model. Later we'll optimize it and clean up some polygons. Let's move our model with simple one-click operation. Add selection and decrease edges. Add 2 edges and push them inside. And bend the center point slightly downward. As you can see in wireframe, our figure has been transformed. Our model is done. It's time to optimize it a little and clean up unneeded polygons. Here we can remove the bottom and just fill it. Okay, now it's optimized. Let's join everything together. Save the project and navigate to UV editing. Press A button and select everything. Then press F3 and find Smart UV project. Now our project is done. We can export it in FBX format and start texturing. Now we move to the Substance Painter. Here we need to create a new project. After that, we import our mesh exported from Blender. We'll use Smart Materials. Let's find material for our pot, and then also material for the dirt inside of it. This one looks good. Set fill projection to tree planar. Now we need to apply the material only to the hull of our pot. After that, let's find material for our dirt that will be inside. It looks kinda bright. Here you also have full control over texture look, and you can adjust contrast later by applying filter. Here you also need to set tree planar projection and adjust styling a little. In material settings, toggle off height, so that it doesn't stand out too much. Now let's add filter and adjust lightness. Looks good. It is time to export our pot and import it into SpeedTree modeler. Create a new material for our pot. Go to Cutout tab and click on Edit. Then close that window and import model by clicking on the plus icon. Now make sure this material is mopped correctly. Also let's rename it. Now our material is ready. It's time to add the pot itself and position it. Then apply this material. Click on tree and add mesh to it. Currently it's just a cube. You need to drag your material to it. You can move it with W key and rotate with E key. Let's position it correctly. Okay, now let's apply our texture we made in Substance Painter. Also import normal and roughness textures. Now it will all be exported as one unit during exporting. Let's test how the wind is working. Everything seems to work properly, and we can proceed to exporting our tree. To export from SpeedTree modeler, go to File, Export Mesh. Here select Unreal Engine ST9 preset. We're okay with that preset, but let's quickly go over the basic settings. In grouping settings, we need all the lots. Light maps are required. We have centimeter metrics. If in your project use any other metrics, change it here. Scale 1:1. Texture packing is important. With Unreal Engine set, there will be less draw calls in the game. Atlas is set to non-wrapping. If you need everything to be in one big atlas, set everything here. With everything set, you can now export and proceed to importing our model to the game. In Unreal Engine, go to the contour drawer. Here let's create a new folder for our tree. Then drag ST9 file to this folder. Every texture and model is bundled into it. Now our mesh is imported. Let's save it. Now just drag it into a scene and press G button to remove the selection.